Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. So not a great Monday for us, but it has been a great Monday for us for like the last 3-4 weeks. So we should be used to it by now. Bitcoin fell below 90,000. We filled the CME gap on it from April. Is that going to be enough for us to bounce from here? I don't know. We'll find out, right? We'll take a look at what's going on there. Miners were all pretty much down for the most part, except for a couple of them. But we do have countries, companies buying Bitcoin like crazy right now. And yeah, Bitcoin prices still continue to go down here. So we'll talk about that. We also have good news on Hive. They had pretty good results on their quarterly results. And they also provided us with some AI news as well. So we'll get through that. And then I got a bunch of good news stories here for you guys, and not only on Bitcoin and AI as well, but other things in general that are going to be concerning us here in the markets for Bitcoin, AI as well. Okay, and then we'll get into Q&A at the end of it here, but we got to go through this part always. Not financial advice, for anything only, do your own research. Full disclosure below that, as always. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously here. And let's take a look at what happened today with our lovely Bitcoin here, which has been falling like a rock here, it seems like. All right, here's Bitcoin. We've been down, obviously, the last 3 days. Sunday, Sunday, Monday, and now Tuesday. We're into Tuesday now. We're at 89,980. Now we kind of bounce back up to 90,000 here. All right, so here's that CME futures gap here. But today we were down on Bitcoin 2.21%. We were down another 2,000 plus on it. On the new day for Tuesday, we were down 2.32%, another down 2,144 roughly or so. And when we look at the CME futures gap here, there's our little gap right there. This was on April 22nd on a Tuesday here onto Wednesday. We bounced there, right? This is when Trump, I think, tweeted, now is a good time to be in the markets, right? The markets took off, Bitcoin took off, everything took off at that point, I think, or was it back here? I'm not sure exactly where, but I think it was like close to this. So we bounced off of that. We had that CME futures gap happen at that point. And that was right between like 90,430 and right there, 90,000, 92,680 roughly, more or less. So that gap has gotten filled here in this current duration of time frame that we have here, which was from April to now in November. That is roughly, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 months, more or less, right? Looking back here, we had this gap over here that happened back in November of last year, 2024. Kind of funny how things work out. But we had this gap that was back at 77,695 roughly to 80,750 or something like that, more or less. This was in November 12th here in 2024. It took us 1, 2, 3, basically 4 months to come back and fill that gap. We filled it, we bounced, we came back down, and then we came back down a little bit more here below that gap a little bit before we kind of bounce back up here. So gaps do like to get filled, unfortunately. We have seen this historically as well. Is this gap going to be the same thing that we have seen in the past year? I'm hoping that's going to be the case here. I'm hoping that we bounce off of this here. We talked about it in last night's stream that we could go down to approximately, 88,000, 85,000 potentially, to be down roughly 30%. I think we're close to that right now as it is. With it from the top here all the way to the bottom here where we got to, we were at 29.68%, really close to the 30% drawdown, just in a matter of, what has this been? How many trading days? This has been, well, this is showing on the CME futures. So this is showing 43 days trading, but 31 trading days here on it. Bitcoin wise, if we look at Bitcoin though, we can see Bitcoin from the top here at 126,296 roughly. All the way down here, we have come back down 29% roughly, right? So we're almost there at the 30% mark, which we have seen twice already in this past year alone, where we came down here, right? This was one of those here. This was from the top that we had in January of 2025 through April, which we bottomed out there. That was around 30% correction. And then we also had a correction here. This was when Bitcoin got to a new all-time high before the halving event back in March of 2024, and we bottomed out here. This was in August, right? That was a 30% correction at that point where we got to 48,000. So we've seen 2 corrections here of 30% roughly. And now we're seeing a third correction as well within the last year and a half, basically, of Bitcoin trading here. So hopefully we bounce off of this. We may go down a little bit lower to like the 88,000, 85,000 mark. As long as we hold that and we bounce here, we should be okay, right? We're seeing obviously countries buying. We saw MicroStrategy buy some more. We saw also Grant Cardone buying some more as well. Right, people are buying Bitcoin as it's coming down here because it's becoming pretty attractive to buy at these levels here. Overall, markets were down today as well. Dow Jones was down 1.18%. NASDAQ was down 0.84%. S&P was down 0.92%. The Russell was down almost 2% there. Ethereum, I'm guessing, was probably down as well. And it was today. It was down a little bit, did a little bit better than Bitcoin did. It was down only 1 point, or no, sorry. This is this day, yeah. It was down 2.08%, so similar to Bitcoin. On the new day, we're down a little bit more. We're down below the 3,000 mark on that one as well. Miners here, like I said, for the most part, we're in the red here, somewhere in the green. So they've kind of decoupled from it a little bit, maybe. Bitcoin was up today, 3.49%. BitTier was up 1.05%. Kango was down 46%, but this is because they did a reverse stock split, or a stock split, 2-for-1, I believe it was. That's why the stock went down there. On that, it wasn't because of anything that happened there. It's just there's twice the shares. So twice the shares means price goes down. Okay, Cleanspark was down, Cypher was down 0.07% there, holding pretty well here right now. Cleanspark was down 3.19%. CORZ was down 0.94%. Hive was actually up today nicely, 7.55%. This is more related to, I believe, you guys can't see this because my screen's frozen again. I may have to do this every once in a while here to do that, to clear it up. All right, you guys should be able to see this now. Hive was up 7.55% today, mainly because of the AI news, I believe. They're also working with Dell computers there for the build out of the HPC side of things. So that's looking good there. Hut 8 was up 2.06%. IREN was up 2.24% as well. Mara was down actually 4%. This thing has taken a huge beating here. Riot has been down 0.5%. Wolf was up actually 0.55% there. And then you can see all the Ethereum Bitcoin treasury companies here. We're all down today because of Bitcoin falling down, except for Nexon. Again, Nexon continues to hold up pretty well here. That one was up a little bit, 0.7, or what's that one showing? 0.82%. Small miners mixed again here. We had any being up just a little bit, 1.23. Argo was down 8.98. DigiPower was up 15.26% there, kind of getting a bounce on the 100 simple day moving average. DMG was down a huge day, down 22.87%. Not sure what happened there with that one. Mawson was also down 9.36. Canon was down 4.37. Ethereum holding companies, Bitcoin miner ETFs. I jumped the gun here a little bit on that one. BitQ was down 1.73. BKCH was down 2.6. DAP was down 1.61. And WGMI was up actually 0.94% today, mainly because of these guys, IREN, Hut, Wolf, running up a little bit here, as well as Bitfarms. That kind of helped that one go back up a little bit. And then the Ethereum holding companies here were down, except for Game. Game was up 5%. BMNR was down 10%. Bit Digital was down 4.5%. BTCS was down 8.6%. And SBI was down 5.51% there. Some of the other companies that we track really quick. American Bitcoin was down 3.91%. Or sorry, not down. It was up 3.91% today. Fig was down 2.98. Wi-Fi was down, up 1.39. Open was down 3.45. Oracle was down 1.34. Nibius was actually up 2.92. Soluna was up today, getting a little bounce there. Looks like off the 100 simple moving day average, up 7.19. Backed was down 7.49%. This thing has been falling down here quite a bit recently. Fermi was up 0.33%, and Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft were down. Google was the only one that was up today. 3.11% was up, higher at 1 point because of Berkshire Hathaway investing quite a bit into them. We got a report on that, so that definitely pumped the stock up there, but it fell quite hard here towards the end of the day, it looks like. All right, so there's that. Miners, how are they doing after hours right now? I don't know. We'll take a look at this, see what we got here on them. BitDeer is down 4.14%. Bitfarms, see how that one's doing. That one is down also right now, down 4.49%, looks like. Cypher, if we refresh that one, we'll see where that one's coming in at. That one is down 3.48%, so miners are getting spanked along with Bitcoin here, it looks like. Cleanspark is down 3.68%. I will probably be buying a little bit tomorrow. I still haven't pulled the trigger on buying any of these guys here because I've been holding out to see if maybe Bitcoin goes down to 88,000. Core is down 1.35. What else we got? Hive here. Hive is down. Oh, wow. Hive is down 6.18%, erasing pretty much all the gains that he had today. Hut 8. We got some good news on Hut 8 also. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Hut 8 is down 3.13%. IREN is, let's see here. We got people panicking, it looks like. IREN is down 5.53% here after hours. Mara, there's panic in the streets. Good time to be buying, I guess. Mara is down 3.04%. Riot as well. Let's see. Riot is down 3.6%, and TeraWolf is down 3.53%. So a little bit of a bloodbath here happening after hours right now as it is. All right, we're going to do this to kind of clear the cache, I guess, or screen, whatever it might be that's causing this thing to freeze up on me. All right, so there's the miners. Not doing great after hours. We'll see how they do tomorrow, if Bitcoin bounces or not. Bitcoin right now for the month of November is down a whopping, well, we're down for the quarter 20% here. Not a great return here on the quarter. But for the month, we're down 17.45% on Bitcoin here. Not what we wanted to see. October hasn't been canceled yet, but it looks like it might be canceled if we don't start bouncing here relatively soon here. In this week and next week, and I think, what do we got left? I mean, we got basically, what is it, 13, 14 days left, so roughly 2 weeks left. If we don't start bouncing here quickly, we're going to have a red November. So that's not looking good. Looking at over here, we can see that Bitcoin ETF inflows here. Let's get this. Why isn't this refreshing on me? Let's see. Okay, November 17th. Oh, we are seeing it. Okay. That is, we're down 74 million right now. Without IBIT reporting, we'll see where that comes in later on. All right, let's get into some of the good news stories that we do have here. Just in, obviously, Bitcoin filled the CME gap. Last time this happened, Bitcoin ripped 50%. Will this be the case that we see here? Hopefully, right? We're hoping that that's going to be the case here and that this is not the end of the bull run, because we really didn't have a bull run here this year. Bitcoin went up, what was it, like 20%, 20-some-odd% at one point for the year when it got to 126,000, and then we basically kept falling down after that. So bull run has been canceled until further notice, until we start going back up here, I think, on this. But definitely we'll have to see that bounce back up if we get down to like 88,000 or 85,000 at that point. I think maybe that's the bottom in that. Next here, obviously, Strategy has acquired another 8,178 Bitcoin for a total of 835 million at an average price of $102. So that's actually 12,000 more than where it was today. They could have waited maybe a little bit longer. They would have bought more. But it is what it is, right? You don't know where the bottom is going to be on these things. You saw things come down, so they bought it. But they have achieved a Bitcoin yield of 27.8 year to date in 2025. As of 11/16/2025, they hodl now 649,870 Bitcoin, acquired for an astounding $48.37 billion at $74,433 per Bitcoin. These guys are valued more than like a couple of these Bitcoin miners, or they paid more in Bitcoin than quite a few of these Bitcoin miners are valued at combined. So that's kind of astonishing there as well. This is also on MicroStrategy here. Breaking Sailor's strategy has now officially bought over 200,000 Bitcoin this year. What an absolute legend. Yeah. Sailor and company there are absolute legends. They will be written about in history books. If Bitcoin goes to $1 million plus, they will be written about for sure. Next year, El Salvador just bought $100 million in Bitcoin, nearly 1,100 Bitcoin at that point. Right, you can see the spike here for them. Huge spike for that. And I heard them talking about where they're going to possibly buy more if Bitcoin dips even more. So that, right. El Salvador has conviction. Michael Saylor has conviction. Others have conviction as well as Bitcoin. I still have conviction Bitcoin's going to do well. You're going forward here. We're just going through this pain right now. This is more on the data center side of things for AI. I think this is QCOM is shopping for 200 megawatts of inference capacity for 2026 deployment. Right, the need is great for megawatts. Miners, AI miners, right? We call them BTC AI miners now. They have a lot of megawatts here. We don't know exactly what they're going to be looking at, but they're definitely looking for megawatts here, right? So that's great news for some of these companies that might be able to help out there. And then this is also huge news here. Jeff Bezos is stepping back into a formal CEO role to co-lead Project Prometheus, an AI startup targeting engineering and manufacturing across compute, autos, and space. It's already raised $6.2 billion and hired nearly 100 people from Meta, OpenAI, and DeepMind. DeepMind, I believe, is a Google-backed venture there. So, yeah, he's definitely in it to win it as well. I'm sure he's going to be applying more money into it as well as time progresses here. But this is an AI race. It's a war between these companies here to develop AI that is going to be, well, very, very profitable for them in the future here, right? Whether it's going to be in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be an all-out race here between Amazon here, or Jeff Bezos and his company Prometheus, XAI. XAI came out with a new Grok version 4.1, which is great. Google with Gemini. You got OpenAI as well. You got others in this space also. They're all trying to grab as many megawatts as they can so they can build out what they need. We've obviously heard stories of OpenAI looking to, what is it, $1.4 trillion, I think they're looking to spend on AI and data centers and things like that. That is just huge. But yeah, this is not stopping anytime soon. This current narrative that we've had with, what's his name? Oh, I'm drawing Michael Burry, right? And the concerns over the GPUs depreciating over 6-7 years. He thinks that those should be depreciated over like 3 or 5 years, something like that, the time rate on those. But we've seen it from Google and others as well. They're still using a lot of their GPUs, or 100% of their GPUs that were like 7 years old and older even. So that kind of blows that portion out completely, where that you can kind of just flick that off. That's just FUD right there. And the demand for AI is obviously increasing here. It's not going to be slowing down anytime soon here. All right, so that's great news there. Next here we have NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang is saying there is no bubble because AI manufactures intelligence in real time, which means every query consumes fresh compute and forces the system to scale its GPU base as usage grows, right? Just like anything else, as demand grows, you need to scale your systems. This is why demand for GPUs and power keeps accelerating and why this looks like a genuine industrial build out rather than a bubble. And I agree 100% with that. This is nowhere near a bubble right now. Yes, there's a lot of cash being spent on this, but it is a race between these companies to get there, right? Whether it's going to be super intelligence or something below it, just a little bit below it, they're all working on that right now. The reason that Elon Musk got into it was, one, he had concerns obviously about AI, right? Being on the right side of things, being truthful and truthful seeking, which he had concerns over that. And that is the reason why he started XAI, was to combat some of the other AI out there and to make a change, make a difference, I guess, in this space. So that's great overall. All right, next here we have this for Hut 8 here, Translata, and you guys are frozen again, it looks like. So we're going to fix that really quick here. Hopefully this helps. Translata to buy Hut 8's Hut 8's 310 megawatts contracted Ontario gas portfolio, purchase price of 95 million, about 306 per kilowatt. Right, so that's great news for Hut 8. That gives them cash to go into more HPC/AI business as well. So that's great news there. All right, so that's good news for Hut 8 here. Next and final one that we have here. This is from the Kobesi letter. And hopefully, let's see, are we still frozen or are we not frozen yet? We're not frozen right now. Excuse me. This is their current situation, the way that they view it. Right, the number one here. The U.S. is preparing 2,000 stimulus checks coming in sometime in 2026. Japan is preparing a 110 billion stimulus package. China has approved a 1.4 trillion stimulus package. The Fed is officially ending quantitative tightening on December 1st. The U.S. is issuing 1.9 trillion in treasury per year. Canada is restarting its quantitative easing program. Global M2 supply is at a record $137 trillion, and global rate cuts are at 320 plus over the last 24 months. In what world is another wave of inflation not on its way? Right, so inflation is going to happen. Things are going to go up. Things are going to definitely probably get a little bit more expensive. But then again, people are going to have more money to invest, and things are going to be valued even higher at that point as well. Okay, so there's that. And lastly, we're going to take a look at here is Hive here on their two announcements. One is their AI continuation endeavor in Canada, as well as their quarterly results. And then we'll get into Q&A here at the end of it all. And I'm going to try and make sure that we don't freeze on the screen here. All right, so here's what we got. The first update here from Hive is the Hive Digital Technology subsidiary, Buzz High Performance Computing, accelerates Canada's AI industrial revolution with Dell Technologies for its AI cloud expansion here. This is great news. This obviously will pump the stock up today nicely, which was great. So today they announced an agreement with Dell Technologies to deploy its next wave of AI infrastructure. Additionally, Buzz and Hive are pleased to announce the operating agreements are executed for the commencement of the first phase of the Buzz and Bell AI Fabric deployment. Buzz will be deploying a 63-node cluster of liquid-cooled Dell PowerEdge XE9680L servers operating 504 of the latest generation GPUs optimized for AI compute, delivered through Dell integrated rack scalable systems. Delivery and installation of the fully integrated Dell IR 500 racks will be in the Bell AI Fabric data center. This builds on Buzz's existing partnership with Bell, enabling the expansion of its sovereign AI cloud, which is great to see there. Scaling the AI for future there, Buzz recently achieved bronze status in the semi-NLS's Cluster Max rankings, surpassing numerous publicly traded peers in the AI cloud sector and validating its technical leadership. So that's great to hear there. In addition to the Bell AI Fabric facility, Buzz has proprietary high-efficiency liquid-cooled data centers designed in Canada and Sweden, and Buzz is procuring a long lead components for go live in the second half of calendar 2026. So that's actually really good there as well, right? We're within, 6 months or something like that? All right, sorry, I had to take a sip of my water here. Again, throat getting dry. And then each Canadian Swedish site, alongside with the Bell AI Fabric facility, will support 2,000 additional latest generation GPUs to expand the Buzz AI cloud for 2026. In total, Buzz targets a fleet of over 6,000 latest generation GPUs for AI cloud by the end of 2026. This is projected to generate an additional $120 million in annual run rate revenue, with an operating margin of about 80% after electrical and data center costs. For Buzz's AI cloud business, once deployed, this estimated increase is the addition to the company's current 20 million AR run rate right now for their GPUs that they're having right now. So combined with over the 5,000 GPUs already in operation, this would bring the Buzz AI cloud to a total of over 11,000 GPUs by the end of 2026. All right, so that's great. That's what helped the stock out today. Furthermore, the Hive 70 megawatt operation Tier 1 data center in Grand Falls, New Brunswick, with 32.5 acres of land, enables Buzz to upgrade the facility for hyperscaler colocation and Tier 3 PUE of less than 1.3 data center, which can provide capacity for about 25,000 latest generation GPUs. Based on the reference architecture, Buzz HPE capacity footprint is positioned to make major contributions to advancing Canada's position in the global AI race, and also, well, I'm adding this part, adding to their margins and revenues as well, right? Because we got IREN's at 23,000, something like that, GPUs right now that they're going to be deploying here shortly, and you know what they're going to be making. So do the math. This could be really, really good for Hive here going forward. It's nice to see that they're being very, very ambitious, not only in AI space, but also in the Bitcoin mining side of things. Also, they have done a tremendous job this year in growth, and you can see that in the quarterly results here, which we're going to take a look at here next. Okay, so next we're going to take a look here. Okay, we're frozen again. It's a good thing I caught it. Q&A. I'm going to go back here. I don't know why it's freezing up on me, but it's annoying. We'll get through it. Hopefully we'll get an update for the software here shortly. Okay, so there's that. Let's take a look at Hive's quarterly results here. So Hive delivers record Q2 with 285% revenue growth as Bitcoin production and Buzz HPC hit new highs, powered by a 223% year-over-year increase in operational Bitcoin hash rate, resulting in 300% growth in Bitcoin mining revenue and Buzz HPC revenue up 175% year-over-year. That's a mouthful there. That's a lot. Looking at the data here, so like we talked about, revenue 87.3 million, up 285% year over year, 91% quarter over quarter. This is based on them starting out basically last year at about 6 exahash or so, getting to now, I think they're at 25 exahash right now. I think they reported in here. So they've basically 4x that growth here in the last year, which is fantastic, right? And they talk about it here. So this quarter marks the strongest dual engine growth in Hive's history, driven by the rapid scale out of its Buzz or Bitcoin mining fleet to 16.2 exahash by the end of September 30th, with 25 exahash operational today. That's fantastic news. They basically, their target has been met, right? Their target was to get to 25 exahash by the American Thanksgiving, which is in about a week or so, and they got there early. So congratulations to the Hive team for doing that. That's great. And they're also accelerating demand for Buzz HPC services as well. Here, next, we got their financial highlights here. So 87.3 million, 285% increase from 28.7 million in Q2 of last year. And 91% sequential increase. Gross operating margin was 48.6, up from 34.7. So also really good job there. Digital currency mining, 82.1 million, up 101% sequentially, reflecting an 86.2% quarter over quarter increase in average hash rate to 16.2 exahash and slightly higher Bitcoin prices. This mining revenue was achieved against a direct cost of 42.1 million, of which approximately 88% represents energy cost there, okay? Bitcoin production, 717 Bitcoin mined in Q2, up 776.6 sequentially, despite a 21% quarter over quarter increase in network hash rate, right? We saw the network hash rate definitely increase there for the network for Bitcoin. As a result, we saw the miners that weren't growing their hash rate in this past quarter generate less Bitcoin because of that. And Bitcoin being, well, Bitcoin did go up in at least in September, but it's been coming down here in October and November as well. Okay, HPC revenue, record buzz HPC revenue of 5.2 million, up from 175% year over year, and 77.6 per quarter over quarter, with a direct cost of 2 million there, and G&A, general administrative costs were 7.8 million, up from 5.8, primarily due to increased staffing supporting global expansion, including Paraguay and Buzz HPC, right? So that's understandable. That's not bad. Going down here, net income, net loss of 15.8 million, driven by accelerated 2-year depreciation of ASICs used in Paraguay. So that's interesting that they're going 2 years instead of 3 years. Excuse me. So that's interesting. Like other companies are doing 3 years, some are also doing like 4 years. So that's interesting that they're only doing 2 years there on that. And non-cash losses related to equity investments and derivative revaluations. Okay, adjusted EBITDA was 31.5 million. Balance sheet ended the quarter with 47 million in cash and digital currencies as well. And then you can read the rest of it there. I did not get a chance to listen to the conference call, but I will take a listen to it. Possibly, I doubt tonight because tonight's already going to be too late. We're already at 10:42 as it is. But here's what I got for them. So, latest numbers that we do have here for them. Hopefully you guys can see this if it hasn't frozen up, which it shouldn't have, which it's looking good here. I got to update this. So shares did increase quarter over quarter here to 236 million, it looks like. Market cap right now for them is 843 million. Their performance over the last 12 weeks has not been great, even though it was much better at a certain point there, right? But everything's been coming down here recently here. So they're up only 12.2% from 12 weeks ago, down 6% from 8 weeks ago, and then you can see here from 4 weeks ago, they're down 45%. Like a lot of things are down. Last week they were down 29%. They weren't the only ones. A lot of companies were down also last week quite tremendously here. Current hash rate, we should have them now at actually 25 exahash, right? So they're there. Future hash rate 25. They are still talking about targeting getting to 35 exahash sometime next year. We'll see if that is on the table still or if that's been paused as they expand out into HPCI, more so in Canada and Sweden, places like that. So we'll see what type of updates we get for that on that one. Okay, Bitcoin HODL, not sure. I probably should have looked this up. I didn't. I forgot, so I do apologize for that. I will look this up to see what they reported at the end of the quarter for September. We'll see where they are with their HODL because they haven't been reporting their HODL position here in the last several months, since April, it looks like, on it. Okay, going down here, we won't get into quarterly or the operational updates for monthly here. Quarterly updates. Look at this revenue growth, which has been fantastic for them. Right, Q3 of December of last year, they were at 30 million, 31 million, 45, 87. This time around, we're looking at around 91 million if Bitcoin stays where it's at, more or less. And then the last 4 quarter operating costs, minus depreciation here, 51 million, obviously an increase, but their hash rate has increased, more electricity being used, all that stuff. That's going to increase the cost there as well. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin has been getting better. I got them at 61,500 here, minus depreciation, looks like. So that has been improving as they've been obviously installing more machines and them getting to 25 exahash. We should see this sub 60,000, probably closer to like 50,000 next quarter as well. So that should be improving going forward there. Bitcoin mine, nice increase there to 717 as well. And then we got debt to equity, lower is better, obviously. It's at 0.1095 right now, which is really good. Current ratio is still really good at 2.5 here. Total current assets, 136 million. And then total current liabilities, only 53 million. Going down here to the raw data on all of this stuff here, there isn't much that's like shocking or anything like that. It was overall pretty good. All right, total current assets decreased 136 million from 180, which is understandable as they've been building out their Paraguay sites and things like that. The capital that was in there is coming out. Obviously, payments have been made on those machines. And then total assets increased here to 692 million from 628, so that's great to see there. Total current liabilities went up a little bit to 53 million from 52 million. And total liabilities went up a little bit, like a couple $100,000 here from 68.3 million from 68.2. So not much of an increase there, which is good. Revenues, nice increase. We talked about that as well. High performance went up to 5.18. We talked about that. What else do we have here? Cost of sales. We knew that was going to increase as the revenues obviously increased as well. So that's 44,000 there. High performance was only 784,000. So it actually came down. That's kind of nice to see that came down while the revenues actually increased. So that's looking pretty good. It was a slight increase, but still an increase nonetheless, right? And the revenues, but a decrease in the cost, which is good. Depreciation, obviously, we talked about that, right? It's now 2 years instead of the 3 years that they've had in the past. What else? Okay, general and administrative costs, 7.8 million. That was understandable because of more people employed. What else? Share-based compensation stayed about the same, came down a little bit, so that's fine. I'm all right with that. Could be a little bit lower, but as they generate more and more revenue, that should come down percentage-wise. Overall, right, we had a net loss of 14 million instead of 35 million, but that was because of the sped up depreciation there. All right, overall, coming down here, they lost 7 cents per share. Not too bad. Take out the depreciation, they would have been up 10% or 10 cents per share at that point right now. All right, going back up here. See, and you guys are stuck again. Ugh. Why does that do that? All right, there's that. So you guys didn't see the numbers, but you heard about the numbers. I apologize for that. And I think I'm getting frustrated to the point where I will probably revert back to the previous version of OSX because this one's just giving me nothing but headaches. That's going to be a pain in the butt, though, because I got to basically uninstall everything and reinstall everything and get everything set back up. But we'll do it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it tomorrow, but we'll try to do it sometime this week, if not on the weekend, just to fix this issue because this is driving me nuts now. All right, based on that information, right, the last 3 quarters that we have information on is 151 million in revenue for them. Current quarter, we're looking at about 91 million. Combined total for the year here roughly is going to be 242 million more or less. With a P of 10, which is a pretty sizable discount compared to everybody else. I'm in between 511 and 767. They're at 356 right now. Yeah, they're undervalued for where they should be. If we use the revenue here for the last month of October times the high performance computing revenue here, let's update this because it's Q1. We should put that as Q2, divide that by 3, multiply it times 12, and we get an annual run rate of 416 million for them. They should be somewhere between 880 and 1320, even with a huge discount on P of 10. Right, they're at 356 right now. They can obviously see that they are way undervalued, in my opinion, at least. Not financial advice as always, but this is kind of where I think they should be valued at. And they got somewhat close to that recently before this huge pullback that we've seen in all of these guys here. So, love what I'm seeing from Hive. They're doing all the right things. The only concern that I have, it's a slight concern, is that they don't have any operations in the United States. Is that going to be a little bit of a detriment to them as far as the possible appreciation that they could get from investors and things like that? I don't know. Might be, right? But in institutions having between $11 and $7.75, that's kind of in line with where I'm looking at them as well. So we're kind of have that kind of lockstep a little bit, right? I'm a little bit higher than them, but I think we're pretty close to it overall. Okay, so that's it. Great job by Hive team there. Congratulations on getting 25 exahash as well. Well done. Continue to execute. That is going to be, they're going to do great, I think. Right. All right, that's it. Let's get into Q&A here. See what you guys have to say on any of this stuff and everything. And I do apologize for being in a little bit late on the chat. But sometimes that happens, and we'll get through all the questions and comments here as things progress here. All right, Sour says, I'm all in on AI, getting on, off BTC. So you're getting out of BTC, too many sticky fingers in that jar. I did add Cleanspark on Friday, so very nice by Sour Melon there. I still own Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin I'm holding on. I don't really care where that one goes to, like short term. Long term, I know it's going to go up in value over time. Short term doesn't really bother me that. Let's see here. Not sure where Sailor's buying all this coin from. None of his buys have ever moved the price. But he still go on X crying and telling people to buy Bitcoin like a damn idiot. Getting out of Bitcoin. Okay, you're getting out of Bitcoin there. I'm holding on to Bitcoin. It's a longer term play for me. It's always been a longer term play for me. All right, Sarah says I'm 80% IREN, not adding any more on that one. Okay. Yeah, my portfolio is heavily weighted towards IREN right now because of the huge gains that it's had here recently. Excuse me. I'm not looking to buy into that one. I am looking to buy maybe Cleanspark. If it dips some more tomorrow, I may buy that, and I might buy some more Bitfarms and maybe Cypher, depending on where things go. All right, Alexander says, ever since Wall Street took over Bitcoin with ETFs, it has been an absolute disaster. We talked about it at that point where I said we might be in a different cycle, if you guys recall. And once we got the ETFs and things like that, I'm sure I mentioned it a couple times, that institutions are going to have more control over Bitcoin. They may suppress the amount of gains that we have on Bitcoin and the rallies that we have, but it's going to possibly be in an extended cycle where it goes up, 50%, comes back down 30%, goes back up 50%, comes back down 30%. Might be one of those deals as things progress here. So we'll see how this is playing out, but it's kind of playing out that way right now as it is. BTC is now red on 1 year chart. Yep, saw that. Okay, let's see. You guys are talking about Hive here. John says 1 year target 9, but could easily break that. I'm with you on that. I think that's kind of where it should be fairly valued. And then with the next generation A6, wowza. Yeah, John, Hive's results were incredible, but forward guidance is most important. They delivered with optionality to scale to 35x by Q4. Yeah, so they're still looking to do that, which is great. Rob, thank you so much. Let's give the channel a thumbs up. Appreciate that. John Kurt Sauer, when will you possibly add to IREN? I'll let Sauer answer that. Steven says we are screwed short term. Yeah, Bitcoin's at 89,500. It's continuing to fall here right now as it is. Sadie, thanks for coming in. Good evening to you as well. John Kurtz, exactly. Bro, no one knows what they're talking about and just throwing paint at the wall. I mean, we're only talking about what we can see here, right? We know where Bitcoin's going to go in the next, well, we don't know what's going to go the next day, let alone what's going to be in the next couple months. But we're just looking at trends, cycles, Bitcoin, where it's been and what it's done in the past, and we're trying to make some sense out of it all. Nick L, when Bitcoin bounces back, Hive is going to Hive. Okay, I think you mean Hive is going to 20. That would be great, obviously, for the Hive investors there. Sadie, thanks so much for the thumbs up. John Sauer, you're my go-to. So did you buy Cleanspark? Thanks. John says, hey Seb, my favorite analysts sound completely confused on the Bitcoin direction. Your favorite analysts, as far as direction is where Bitcoin's going to go, whether it's going south or north. I mean, it's understandable. Nobody really knows where it's going. We can only look at what we've seen in the past. We've gone down 30% in the past here in the last 2 years. We've done it twice already, right? Could we do that again here and bounce off of that? It's a possibility. It's a possibility until it doesn't happen, basically, right? So we'll see. John says, Hive is my largest holding, 1 year. Nice. Let's see, AAQ14. Hey, said Bitcoin will recover after its 30% pullback to 86,000. Can you also do a quick price update on Bitfarms? I see $2 before bouncing back up to $5. Bitfarms I think should be valued anyways higher from where it's at right now. But I've been talking about that for a long time here. Bitfarms, I have in between 463 and 695 right now. Right, they're at 267 as it is. Now, if they start generating revenue faster on the AI side of things, then that definitely could change at that point. But right now, that's kind of where I have them at. Okay. All right, what do we got here? Rob says, hi. Nick, yeah, you kind of figured you were talking about Hive there. Fairfax says, I'm starting to buy Bitcoin again. Nicely done there. Sarah says, a lot of people lying about buying coin. Mass adoption drops the Bitcoin price by almost 35%. Lies. Well, it's not. People are still buying it, but I think it's the whales that have been around for a long time. Those guys are the ones that are selling it. Those guys are the ones that are pushing it back. But then you got other companies like Sailor's company. You got Argentina buying it. You got Grant Cardone buying it, right? You got others buying it as well. But yes, maybe not enough buyers right now. It's a lot of sellers. All right, Fairfax says just bought some at 89,900. Nicely done. Tej, how you doing? Daryl, bled out so much in the last 2 weeks. Now it looks like I will be dollar cost averaging over the next 2 years. Hopefully it's not that long. So hopefully we bottom out here and we bounce here. All right, Sarah says no one will buy the 120s, but they're buying here now potentially. D-Gold, hey Seb, thanks for your input. What's the next catalyst for BTC? When can you expect turnaround from this selling? Eventually there's going to be an exhaustion on the selling side of things, right? And then we'll start going back up here. Some catalysts would be, we do have some catalysts coming up here for next year, right? If we get also rate cuts happening in December, I think that would be a good catalyst. Maybe some good data on the jobs and CPI data coming out would help out. All those things would possibly help us out here, but time will tell. Nobody knows. All right. Hi, Seb. All right, talked about that already. Andre, question, Seb. If you buy, what will you buy? I'm looking to buy some more, probably Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and Cypher. IREN is still up 500% for me right now, so for me, that doesn't make much sense. I'm just holding on to it. If IREN dips, I would say probably 50% from where it's at right now. At that point, I would consider buying it, potentially. All right, Daryl, would you rather buy Cleanspark or Hive at this point? At this point, to be honest with you guys, Cleanspark still has more gigawatts than Hive does. They're also, well, they just bought a site in Texas. I think they may have more optionality, and they're more in the United States. I think for that reason, I would be more in Cleanspark. That's just my take on it. All right. Neil says, looks like the AI bubble is popping. Yeah, it's been popping for the last 3 weeks here. Frozen again. Are we frozen again? No, things are scrolling, so we're good there. Right. Hey, Seb, I don't know what you do after hours, since we all know it's not reliable and it doesn't represent the true trading numbers for tomorrow. It's uncalled for. Wait, let me see if I can get this. Hey, Seb, I don't know what you do after hours, since we all know it's not reliable and it doesn't represent the true trading numbers for tomorrow. It's uncalled for. You mean like the numbers that I show for the pre-hours or the after-hours trading? Is that what you're talking about there? So you're asking, well, I don't know why I do the why I don't do the after-hours. Why I do the after-hours, basically. I think that's what you're asking. Just to see where things are at. Yeah, it's not reliable. I mean, we've seen things being in the green and then being in the red the next day. Rob says, after Hive's earnings conference call today, I like to say the CEO is a very reputable guy. Yeah, they've done what they said they were going to do, and I love seeing that. Sadie, thank you so much for the likes reminder there. Sorry, the pullback will end when all the minor gains from the last 4 months have been completely wiped. We've been through this 4 or 5 times already. More wasted time. Well, not really. I mean, a lot of these guys are still up huge, at least currently, right? If we go down where they wipe out all that stuff, then yeah, it would be a repeat of the prior things that we have seen here. But they've also gone up much higher here recently. So I think patience is still needed here. All right. When Sailor has to tell people to buy Bitcoin, you know it's bad. Well, he's been telling people to buy Bitcoin the whole time, whether it was at 75,000, 60,000, 80,000, 100. You know, he's been talking it up all the time. S. Romney, question mark, Yukoso and many Bitcoin folk are of the opinion that the Bitcoin cycle top is in. Don't you think it will fall by 70 or 80%, maybe only 40 to 50% max? What are your thoughts? We'll have to see if we can hold this 30-35% mark first. And then if we don't, then, well, yeah, then we're going to be looking at probably 40-50%, which would be not great. And again, I don't know why we would have this. Why would we have this bear market again with so much adoption, right? Sailor holding it. It's like, is somebody trying to mess with us? I mean, look at this year. This year hasn't performed anywhere near like the prior cycles. So why would we think that the cycle is going to be the same as far as the bear market there? I don't know. Time will tell, I guess. Esther, there's another question here. Were you able to take profits on any of your positions in IREN, Cleanspark, or Bitfarms? I mean, I could have taken profits on those guys. I didn't take any profits on those guys. I think there's more to be had here. Maybe not in the next couple of weeks here, but in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, I think there's going to be more upside with these guys. I could be wrong on that. And I just have a different time frame than maybe some of you guys do. And I'm okay with it, right? I don't need that money that's in there right now. So it's like, if I don't need it, why would I take it out and pay government taxes on it when I can just hold it in there, add more to it as they dip, have more of a war chest at that point as well. So that's kind of my plan right now. All right. Owaki, what are the top mining AI companies I should be invested in right now? IREN, Cypher, I would say also TeraWolf, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and now maybe even Hive. Hive is starting to do pretty good here. All right. Daniyar, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. How is Hive's report comparing to Bitfarms? Which one was better? I mean, they're both looking to get HPC business going up in 2026, so they're kind of similar that way. Hive's revenue was better than Bitfarms was, because Bitfarms only had, they're kind of, let me see, were they close? Let's see here. Let's see, Bitfarms had revenue of, in the quarter, where is it at? Where's my quarterly numbers for them? 69 million, right? And Hive had, what did they have here? And Bitcoin mining, they had a little bit higher, right? They were, where were they? 82 million. So Hive had better revenues on that side of things, but they've also been growing their hash rate more so. But otherwise, overall, it was pretty much the same thing. And they're both looking to get HPCI sites up and running next year. Talked about that one. Let's see, we're still looking good here on the screen. We're not frozen yet. All right, Rob, as a reminder, the RSI for the whole miner space is now oversold. We have hit the bottom. Maybe hit the bottom or getting close to the bottom here, because we have seen before where the RSI can stay below for another couple weeks potentially. Hopefully it's not that long. Frank says we have hit the death cross, so we could see a big spike up shortly. However, that is not a guarantee. Okay. And then staying cautious until we get labor report on Thursday. Maybe that's why we're heading down, as people are just over panicking on that. All right. And it says 89,253. Yeah, we've definitely been dipping here. Should go, and it says it should go to 85 or 88 soon. And maybe that's going to be the bottom soon. Yeah, and it thinks that might be the bottom as well. We'll be buying IREN under 40 by end of the week. If it goes down that low, I hope it doesn't, but it might. Sherry, Hive, super undervalued. Thanks for the info. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming in. Harris, further pain for miners. How long will a recovery take, in your opinion? I mean, if we do have a recovery in Bitcoin here, let's take a look at it really quick. Last time we dipped 30% on Bitcoin. We pulled back relatively quickly over a couple months. It wasn't that bad. Let's see. Let's go back up here. Bitcoin, right? I mean, you can see it here. It took us from here where we bottomed out in April on it. And from there, it took us to reach a new all-time high. That was right around, 111,000 here. That took us 43 days, about a month or so. And then it took us another, we dipped, I think here we dipped, what did we dip here? It was like a 15-20% dip here, and then we went back up higher here. That was 60% gain, 64% gain, 165. And that took roughly 96 days, so almost 3 months there to do that. And then we went sideways, went up, went down some more. And then we bounced here, had a nice bounce. And yeah, I mean, that was only 69,000, 70,000 or 70% at 126,000 at that point. So it can be relatively quickly once we do bounce, if we bounce. I think we will bounce. I'm hoping we bounce. Let's go back here. Q&A. All right, Rob, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. That is definitely a good rule to live by. As for my question here, no plans to buy Cypher. I bought 200 shares today. Will load more if it drops further. Yeah, Cypher is one of the ones I'm also looking to buy. Cypher, Cleanspark, Bitfarms. Those are the ones I'm looking to buy here if we dip some more right now or tomorrow, right? Daryl, guys, as BTC never really popped this cycle, it can't drop 80% from the high. I think the same thing, right? Will we be correct in a couple of weeks? Time will tell. All right, Maddie, considering buying Bit Digital and Hive, do you think it's a good time to add both of them to my portfolio? The way they've come down, I do think it's a good opportunity to get into, but that's up to you, as always, right? I do think that they are undervalued, especially Hive here. Bit Digital, you kind of know my feelings on Bit Digital and some of these treasure companies. I'm not a big fan of buying into them, but I love the fact that they're buying up Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? So I love that part, but if I wanted to buy Ethereum, I'd probably buy it myself. Same thing with Bitcoin. If I was to do that again, I would buy Bitcoin directly instead of going with some of these other ones. Sherry asks, are you in Hive? I was in Hive from 2017 to 2023, I believe it was when I sold out, or 2024. Was it last year? No, 2023. I can't remember now. There's been so many things happening here. But within the last year or 2 years, I've sold out of Hive at that point. The reason for it at that point was because they weren't as ambitious in their growth like we have seen this past year. This past year, growth has been fantastic. Love seeing that. I wish they would have been that ambitious back then when I had them. I would have probably held on to them at that point. All right. Fortune, I think it's how you pronounce it. Am I the only one who is confused at the fact that Sailor bought Bitcoin, El Salvador bought Bitcoin, but a single guy sells 250 Bitcoin and the price dumps 90? Yeah. Markets can be weird at times. Rob says I'm in Hive and Bitfarms. Nice. Let's see. Fortune asks, does it pump if Sailor sells? Would be the opposite, kind of like inverse of Kramer there, maybe. S. Romney says Metcalfe's law and power law still have Bitcoin price around 90 to 100,000. Okay. Man, I thought 95 was the bottom. We are so oversold, most oversold this cycle. It does look like that. So hopefully we get a bounce here. You know, if we get down to 88,000 or something like that, we bounce from that, that'd be great. That'd be 30% more or less. Sherry says Bitfarms and Hive's charts look very similar. They do for sure. Sour Bitcoin's price movement is not accurate at all. I mean, it is what it is, right? We can't change it. We can complain about it, but that's about it. All right. Fortune says you can't lie about buying Bitcoins on the ledger. Yep. Who's selling? I don't know. Whales that have had it since 2013, 2014, 2011, whatever, right? Those guys are up huge, billions. I mean, they've made billions on it sometimes. Sure, yes. Bitfarms or Hive? Okay, for the simple fact that Hive has, not Hive, Bitfarms has operations in the United States, I wonder if that might be a better one. But, right, they're both Canadian-based, more or less, but Bitfarms has operations in the United States and sites in the United States. Thinking that might be something that actually helps it out there. All right, SK, question. Cypher President sold shares today. Is it a red flag? There has been non-stop insider selling. I will have to take a look at that to see what that was about. Was it a pre-planned sale? Was it because he got shares? What was the reason behind it? It's just profit taking at the moment, I feel. Sherry says it's a lot of profit taking happening there for sure. It will all come back. I agree with you there. We just don't know when. When do we think we bottom? I think we're getting very, very close to the bottom, right? We still could go down another 1,000 to another 4,000 here possibly before we hit the very bottom there. Maybe we'll see. Fortune says, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there only 5% of the BTC left to mine from? Yes, we reached that today. That's a very good point. We reached, I think, what was it, 19,500,000 Bitcoin mined already today. All right. DeFi says Cleanspark and IREN down 5% after hours. Damn been hell. 2 weeks so far. Wiped all. Yeah, it's been it's been a quick drawdown on these guys here. Actually, that's interesting comment, Fortune. Cassie, never thought of it like that. Yeah. Eli, I think that's how I pronounce it. I need cash. Sold partially IREN at 75. Now I don't actually don't know what to do. Still green on IREN a bit. Red on Cleanspark. I still can't wait till the end of the year. Would you wait if you were me? That's I can't decide for you, right? That's gonna be up to you. You only know what you can do. You know what your risk tolerance is, what your pain level is. You know your finances. I don't know any of that stuff, so I can't tell you one way or the other. I can only tell you what I'm doing, right? And then you guys have to decide for yourselves what you're gonna do. All right. Harris, looking historically, if this is the Bitcoin cycle end, when will the next cycle start? The next cycle will start when we have the next halving event, which is going to be in 2028. And then at that point, I would start usually, right? So if this is the end, we would go down into 2026, 2027, and then we would probably start kind of maybe starting to bounce back up in 2028. Victor says, hope 85,000 is a strong support. I hope so too. God's will. Hi, Seb. Going forward, what is your overall outlook for Bitcoin? I think Bitcoin overall in the long term is going to go up, right? It's just we have these drawdowns in Bitcoin. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. If you've been in the space for any number of months or years, you know that this is part of the course here. That's part of the game. And it's going to go up nicely, but then it's also going to pull back down quite a bit and then go back up nicely. But this cycle overall has been completely different, right? We've seen Bitcoin go it's gone up nicely, right, from where we bottomed out in December of 2022, right around 13,500, right, or 15,500, something like that. We bottomed out. So it's gone up almost 10x from that point. But we've also seen during that time frame where we had drawdowns of like 30, 35%. And the drawdowns have been much more, the duration time frame has been much longer than in the past, right? In the past, when we would go down 30, 35% in Bitcoin in last cycles, it was within a couple of days, and then we were back up to new all-time highs. This time it's been months that we draw down over, and then it takes us months to go back up over that. That's what I'm saying. It's a completely different cycle in that regard as well, plus other factors also. All right. I can't pronounce. I'm not going to try to pronounce your name, so I'm sorry. What's the chance we get a relief bounce to 100,000 in the next 2 weeks? I think the chances are pretty good here. If we bottom out right around 88, 85,000, something like that, that would be great. Sarah says, Seb, what do you think about the Trump Bill Clinton news? I'm not going to get into that. You guys can make your own your own judgments at that point. Let's see. Robert says, minus 40, minus 50, minus 60, profits taking, for sure not a profit taking. Market reset, Bitcoin 2, and everything else. Nothing stand now. I'm in hut, IREN, Hive, hut. Stay close. Plus 10% day is near, in my opinion. Okay. Victor, why was IREN green and Cypher were red? Not sure why. I mean, IREN obviously is the stronger of the two, I believe. So maybe that might be a reason why. All right. Question, who is the best pure mining company? Pure Bitcoin mining company? Is there anyone left other than maybe some of the smaller guys here? I don't know if anybody's left anymore. Right, everybody's trying to get into AI space as it is with the megawatts that they have there. All right, DeFi, would you buy Cleanspark or Cypher at these prices? The way they're doing right now in after hours, I'd probably buy into them, right? I told you guys last Friday I was going to buy into them. I did put cash into my account to have cash ready there. And then luckily I didn't have time because I got busy during Friday, so I didn't have time to buy. And then today I was looking at the charts, like I think these things could possibly come down some more. With Bitcoin coming back down and everything else, I'm like, okay, let's give it a day or two, see where we go. And then we're obviously dropping now as it is. Kind of we bounced back up a little bit over 90,000. But if we drop tomorrow, I will probably start to pull the trigger on that. Well, this picture. If MicroStrategy bounces, that could indicate Bitcoin could as well, according to Ben Cohen. Okay. Yeah, I mean, MicroStrategy has definitely not had a great year since last year. It peaked at 540,000. $540. Rob, even Kathy Wood is buying BTC. Same with Morgan Stanley. Yep. DeFi Black Swan event MicroStrategy gets bankrupt. That will be the bottom. LOL. News around this is on X right now. That's what they're talking about. I think for strategy to get liquidated, it would have to be like sub 30,000 per coin. I think that's what I've heard at least. All right. How many percentage of Cypher business is still minor? Right now, it's still all 100% until they actually get the sites built out for their HPCI. So right now it's 100%. DeFi, how did MicroStrategy fund their event of 800 million buys? Their stock is below MNAV and the other products are scams. I don't know, but they got it. ATM dilution, don't know. Fortune Winklevoss just tweeted that this will be the last time to buy Bitcoin below 90,000. Hopefully that's the case. Robert says MicroStrategy a big slump. Bitcoin have to be more than good to see a comeback there. Better be in BMNR in my opinion. Okay. Rob, best bang for the buck is to buy Hive and Bitfarms because they are both low dollar share stocks sitting at 3xx, and you can get way more shares than if you were to buy IREN and pay a lot and get less shares. Depending on how you look at it, right? Could IREN do a 3x, right? If that's what you get out of Hive and Bitfarms potentially, right? I'm not saying that's going to be the case here. I'm just giving an example. So it still could be work out the same way. It just depends on how many X multiples you get out of these guys. So if let's just say IREN gets it deals with more Microsoft deals, more deals with other customers, or they build out their own Neo Cloud, could they fetch a higher multiple and fetch a bigger X multiple as well? It's a possibility. So it's never that easy, unfortunately. But yeah, when it comes to buying more shares, you get more shares. But what is the X return on that? SX question: if you feel Hive is so undervalued, just curious, why is it not on your radar to buy over Cypher, IREN, Bitfarms, etc.? Because I think also Bitfarms is way undervalued. IREN, I have a lot of shares of it right now as it is. The only thing that's holding me back from Hive is that they don't have any operations here in the United States. That's the only reason, really. Everything else I love about the company. They've done a great job here, growing and everything else. My only thing is no operations in the United States. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. They could do extremely well. But time will tell if I was right on that or wrong. All right. you believe in the bounce because it's what happens when they're oversold typically. Well, we've seen it oversold. I mean, we can look back at historical numbers as well on it. Excuse me, I take a sip. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here in the bear market here. Let's see how it looks oversold and things like that. At that point, where do I want to go? I want to go here. All right. So if we look at Bitcoin here, when it was in the bear market, which was basically, so we can zoom out here. Right. We're oversold at a point, bounces, right? And then we go down even more, a lot more. Hilash question, how are ETFs doing with Bitcoin? Are they selling? Institutions are buying, companies are buying, then who is selling? Retail, I mean, ETFs are still retail, right? It's still driven by retail demand. If retail freaks out, then they're selling the ETFs there and the ETFs are selling. So yeah, it's based on retail and possibly some institutions there as well that have IBIT and others as well. All right. DeFi says MicroStrategy owes $600 million in debt next 2 months. Wondering how they will pay for that. Issue more convertible notes or something. They'll figure it out a way. Fortune says, Sebastian, what are your thoughts on ABTC, American Bitcoin Corp? I think that they're possibly still overvalued from where they should be. I know they've come down in price here recently. The only, well, there's a couple of things that I'm not a big fan of that. Let me see here. American Bitcoin, where's it at? Down here. We have it down here. Where's it at? American Bitcoin. Okay. So it's definitely come back down in price quite tremendously here from where it's been. Let me see here. What are we doing on the daily earnings? Okay, let's zoom in here recently. So it definitely popped here recently at 5.5. It's basically $5 share right now. All right, so if we look at this, let's take a look at what they are valued at right now. Financials. Let's take a look at financials here. They are still valued at 4.59 billion, basically 4.6 billion. 3 employees, okay, no infrastructure, so they don't own any sites. They're asset light. Yes, they own some Bitcoin there. I'm not sure what the amount of Bitcoin is there right now as it is. So they don't own any infrastructure, and they obviously host with everything that they have. So I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like asset light companies because they don't control their destiny. They don't control their future. They don't control their costs, everything else. Everything is being basically passed down from Hut 8 to them. Obviously, them having Trump there in the name as somebody that's part owner in the company as well, I think that is helping it out. Because if you look at American Bitcoin, let's see, they're at 4.59 billion, almost 4.6 billion here. Let's take a look at a company like Cleanspark, which is now valued at, what are they valued at? Okay. This just says it all. They're valued at 3 billion, right? They got sites, infrastructure, and everything else, and they're valued at about 3 billion. Do the math, right? Does that make sense to you there? No. So that still leads me to believe that that company, American Bitcoin, is still overvalued from where they should be based on not having any infrastructure. Right, look at also, Cypher's going to be pretty well valued right now as it is. BitDeer is another one that you could probably take a look at here. What are they being valued at? 2.2 billion, whereas American Bitcoin is being at double that with not having any infrastructure. So go figure. Okay. On that one, that's kind of my take on it right now as it is. If it comes down, 50, 75% from where it's at right now, then I would say, okay, maybe it's starting to look a little bit more appetizing to possibly have a little bit of that one. But right now, yeah, that's just my take on it. Right, not financial advice as always. All right, let's go back here. Let's see. Sorry, asked, did the stream crash? I don't think so. Looks like we're still pretty good there. Let's see. Are you cut off completely when showing the bounce? Did I? Let's see. Mike, did my mic mute? Didn't my mic didn't mute. All right. DeFi says BMR is at 1 MNAV, and then I heard that come gap is filled 3 minutes ago. What will this do? CME gap. What did that do to beat? Historically, Bitcoin has bounced around those levels when it fills those gaps. It could go down a little bit more, like I said, to around 88 to maybe 85,000 on a weird, wicked candle, and then bounce from there. Historically, now we'll see if that happens here, if we bounce from that point or not. So that'll be interesting to see. All right, but that is it. Come to all your guys' questions here. Like I said, I'm still overall bullish on Bitcoin and everything else. Short-term pain, we've seen it before. It's not out of the question. It's not out of ordinary. We just gotta kind of weather through it. You gotta have thick skin on it, with Bitcoin especially, and then the miners. As long as Bitcoin doesn't go into a dreadful bear market, I think we'll be okay because they're now more into HPCI as well, or they're getting into it. They don't. Some of these guys are not generating a lot of revenue from it yet, but they're getting towards that, which I think will be a good thing for them. Victor says basically all miners are Bitcoin miner 100% at the moment, except for IREN. IREN is generating some revenue. Hive is generating some revenue right now as it is. Hut 8 is also generating a little bit of revenue. TerraWolf should be generating revenue here by the end of the quarter, I think. DeFi, thoughts on Dead Cross? I could go either way on it. I don't know. So what gave you the confidence it'll bounce to 100,000? I think it's just the market. Part of it is obviously the RSI levels being low, right? We're seeing a lot of fear in the market, greed and fear index, right? How that one is. That one's like, it was at 10. Now it's probably going to be like at 9, 8 or something like that. That is just also a pretty good sign there that we maybe bottomed out here, those types of things. Rob says, the way I look at it when it comes to low dollar, Hive and Bitfarms get 1,000 shares each. With each dollar they rise, means $1 goes 1,000. If we get to $12, then yeah, I mean, then you're looking at 4x, right? At that point on it. Let's see. EH says, I had to grab a beer at these prices. Yikes. It's been a rough ride here. Let's see. Appreciate you replying to me, subbed and liked. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for coming in. First time subscriber, first time viewer here, I guess. Thanks for coming in. Victor C. Cypher also getting revenue in January. Okay. Yeah, so that's another one. So it's coming, but it's right. It's going to be more so in next year and then following years as well as things build out here. All right. We're going to call it a day. We'll see where Bitcoin ends up tomorrow, whether we get down to 88,000 and below that or not, or do we bounce from here, filling the CME gap futures. Right. We'll see in the next couple of days, I guess. And then hopefully we're back to all-time highs here in the next, maybe for Christmas. Who knows? All right. But as always, thank you so much for coming in. Greatly appreciate all of you. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Hopefully it's going to be, I keep saying that, hopefully it's going to be better and better, but one of these days I'm actually going to be right on that, and it's actually going to be better. So love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk about anything that happens then. All right. Bye.